Welcome to the Fierce as Fuck podcast. I'm your host, Amanda King, and I'm here to teach anybody who wants to fucking listen how to have the audacity to say fuck it to societal standards and live their most authentic life. This podcast is dedicated to bringing sexual conversations from behind closed doors onto the main fucking stage. Because sex, masturbation, squirting, guess what? It's all fucking normal. And by bringing these conversations to the forefront, we help people feel less alone in this world. We help them feel safe. We help them gain their power back, step into their confidence, and have the ability to express themselves authentically as fuck in this world. Because it takes fucking audacity to be your truest self. And we have boatloads of audacity up in this bitch. So let me ask you this. Are you ready for some epic shit? Hello, everybody. So today's podcast episode is going to work a little differently. I really want to start showcasing some of the writers of SMEX ED Magazine on this podcast. If you haven't heard of SMEX Magazine or listened to the other podcast episodes, SMEX Magazine is my digital magazine that teaches you the sex education you should have learned in school. And the writers that help me make this magazine come alive are absolutely incredible. And so I want to start bringing them on this podcast and giving them their own episode to discuss some of their articles on SMEX Ed, to answer questions, to just be here, be present, and so that you just get to know them a little better. So with today's episode, we have my good friend, Jessica, who is a licensed therapist who is going to talk to you about the 5 love languages and the kinks that are associated with them. So as always, if you like this episode, share it, screenshot it, let me know.
Good morning, Fierce as Fuck Tribe. I am so excited to be here and talking to you guys today about the 5 love languages and making them a little bit kinky. My name is Jessica Aycock. I am a therapist and coach, and my specialty is all things taboo. So, all things sexuality, all things kink, all things non traditional relationships. If you've read any of my stuff on SMEX Ed, you absolutely understand the realm that I run in. So, let's talk about the 5 love languages. I always get people in my office as a therapist who have or are struggling with their relationships. And it's really kind of interesting because a lot of the times they have kind of just grown apart from their partner. And that's not uncommon in any way, shape, or form. That happens to pretty much everybody when they get into a relationship. They are then kind of trying to figure out, well, how do I reconnect with my partner? And the 5 love languages is by Gary Chapman. And in the therapist realm, like, some people really like it, some people really don't like it. It can be kind of controversial at times or feel like it's not super inclusive at times. But I like to start there because it gives them a very simple place to start, because as we know, it can feel very overwhelming when you're unhappy with your relationship or you're unhappy in where things are and you have no idea where to start. A lot of times that's what kind of puts us in this decision paralysis where we just don't do anything. And that is probably what ends up getting us to, or getting people into my office, because now they have not done anything, even though they have felt like they needed to do something for a very long time, and they just need a little help. So I start with the 5 love languages. If you are unfamiliar with them, let's just go through them really quickly. The idea about the 5 love languages, and this is how I explain it to clients, is it's about learning how your partner wants and needs to feel loved. And everybody needs to feel loved in a different way. And if you are not doing it the way that they need, they don't feel loved. You could be doing everything under the sun for them. But if you're not doing kind of this one thing, they're not going to feel loved. And this is kind of where it starts to feel like it's kind of a crock of shit because that can kind of feel very manipulative, right? But if we take aside and take the side of looking at this as this is information about our partner, it doesn't mean anything about us. This is just information on how we need to understand our partner better. It takes a whole new turn. So the idea is there are 5 different ways that people want to and need to feel loved. And they are words of affirmation. So this is uh, praising your partner, telling your partner, I love you, telling your partner that they're amazing, things of that nature. Then there's physical touch, obviously, hugs, kisses, snuggling, cuddling, things of that nature. Um, I always have trouble remembering all of these. Acts of service. Acts of service is when you are doing something for your partner. So if they have a chore that they don't like, or they have um, something that you just know is a stressor for them that you take care of, that's an act of service. Um, Gifts. So when you bring something small to them or you gift them with something. And then the last one is quality time. And so quality time is spending time with your partner. And this means uninterrupted, excuse me, uninterrupted time with your partner. You're not on your phone. You're not watching video games. You're not playing, you're not playing video games. You're not watching TV. This is literal quality time with your partner. And so when you know what your partner's love language is, it's a lot easier to do the things that make them feel loved. So, for example, if your partner's love language is physical touch and you run out the door in the morning, every morning, without a hug or kiss goodbye, but you make sure that their car is always filled with gas, they still may not feel loved. Yes, that's a nice thing to do, but for them, they want the hug, they want the kiss, they want the snuggle before bed. Um, when you do those things, that's when they start to kind of just to feel appreciated. And so this is really just like, to me, it's a life hack for understanding your partner. It is this cheat code, so to speak, about understanding your partner. And so, how do you find out? Okay, well, there's a free quiz online. It's an extensive quiz. Um, there's a book. You can read the book. It's not necessary to read the book, but if you need, excuse me, if you need ideas on how to kind of put this into practice, the books are great. There's several books. There's books on love languages for kids. There's love languages for single people. There's love languages for obviously couples. There's love languages for military couples who are separated by long distance. The books are amazing, but they're not necessary. If you do the quiz online, you will at least get the top 2 items that are your love languages, and that's then kind of how you know. Now, I preface this, or like I throw this caveat out there, as we as human beings, we pretty much like all 5 of them. We want to have all 5 of them. So if you're sitting here thinking, oh, I don't know which one I would be, or I know exactly which is my love languages. If you know, that's great. If you don't know, or you're like, man, all of those sound really nice, take the quiz. But also in like 6 or 8 months, take the quiz again. Personally, I have found that for me, my answers change based on what is happening in my relationship at the moment. So, for example, if my partner is long distance, My top love languages, usually at that point in time, is going to be quality time. Why? Because I'm not getting that thing. If they are, more close in proximity, they're local. Um, a lot of times my top one is acts of service. Like I want someone to help me do the things that I need to be done, that I need to do. So if for some reason you're like, hey, I know my love language is gifts and my partner brings me gifts all the time and it is just not hitting the same way, do the quiz again and see what comes up, because it may be that it's shifted a little bit. Um, I firmly believe that it changes based on what we're kind of not getting in the relationship at the moment. And that can be a really good talking point for you and your partner. If you guys are open to having discussions like that and kind of just talking about, hey, like, I haven't really been feeling super loved right now. I know my love language is acts of service, and I know you've been doing a ton of things for me, and I super appreciate it. Maybe can we shift it to, words of affirmation or something of that sort? So obviously having conversations like that is important. And if you have trouble with that, check out my last article about conversations and having difficult conversations. Um, okay, so the real reason we are here, let us talk about love languages in terms of kinks. Um, okay, so one side note, I just want to kind of reiterate this. If you are not, if you now know what your love language is for you and your partner, and you are not doing these things, you're going to start to feel disconnected. And this is typically why I recommend starting with the love languages, because it's a really quick way to feel connected to somebody. So, for example, I used in my article, if my love language is acts of service, like take out the trash and I am fucking happy as a pig in shit. Like I am ecstatic if somebody takes the trash out for me. But my partner's love language is quality time. Like all he wants is to sit outside out, with a bonfire and a glass of wine, and he is ecstatic, right? If he never takes the trash out and I never go sit outside, we both start to feel like super starved for connection. We're just not connecting. Okay. So this is why it's kind of important to know and um, to be cognizant of what our love language is. Another super small side note, the way that people like automatically show their love language is a lot of times how they actually want to be loved. So if you are unsure about your partner's love language and you just don't know, and you don't want to ask, start paying attention to what they're doing for you. Are they very affectionate, like handsy type of person, like hugs, kisses, like they just want to be touched or they want to touch you? If they are they trying to just spend quality time with you? Do they want to go do things with you? Do they praise you a lot? Do they give you a lot of verbal communication? Are they like, hey babe, like you're amazing, you're so great, I love you? Are they heaping that on? Um, are they bringing small things home for you? Oh, hon, I thought you just might like this cup of coffee. I just picked up your favorite, while I was out. Um, I always forget the fucking last one. What is what is the one that I'm missing? Um, Quality time, physical touch, quality time. Do they want to spend time with you? Do they bring you small things? That's gifts. Do they praise you a lot? That's words of affirmation, acts of service. I still feel like I missed one. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Um, I guess that is all of them. All right. So let's talk about how to kind of make this a little kinky, because I think that that's really the reason that we're all here, right? We love the kink. And if kink is something that is new to you, please reach out. I have a free kink checklist on my website. It is amazing to kind of get that conversation started and to kind of help you figure out what feels good for you. What are the things that are kind of intriguing and whatnot. So Okay, so let's start with acts of service. So if acts of service is about doing things for your partner, and I want to make sure that you understand that it is not about just doing things or having doing the things that they ask. It's not about doing the things that they ask. It is about doing the things without being asked. Like, I cannot stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. It's not about reading your partner's mind. It's not about your partner giving you a to-do list. It's about being observant. It's about watching your partner and taking into account, what is their day like? What are the things that fluster them? What are the things that they just hate doing? Like I said, for me, taking out the trash, hate it. Dishes, hate them. Hate them. So if somebody is willing to step up and do those things without me having to ask them, or without me having to quote unquote nag them about it, that is going to hit my love language super hard. So how do we make this kinky? This is like such an obvious thing to me, and I know that it's not for everybody, but we're going to talk about a BDSM Dom sub dynamic. So if you're not familiar with it, there's a great article on SMEX Ed about it. From the male submissive side, it is really fascinating dynamic. And the reason that it works so well here is the DS dynamic is all about control. It is the dominant person, the D person, who has control over the submissive person, the S person. And obviously, consent is involved, as with all things. But in the DS dynamic, the 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 point, this sounds really weird, but the point of the dominant is to kind of always be observing their submissive in order to be creating a space to guide them or for their own satisfaction and fulfillment. And this, I'm talking about the submissive satisfaction and fulfillment. It is the dominant person is the authority in the situation, but that's always done with the consent of the submissive. So it's not always sexual. In fact, a lot of the time, DS dynamic is most fun when it is outside of the bedroom. And this is where the acts of service kind of comes in. So the reason that acts of service is such an appealing love language to so many, especially to women, is because we constantly feel overwhelmed. We feel unappreciated. We don't feel, we feel like we're always doing everything. So when you can see that in your partner, you are with them all the time, and you see them kind of not necessarily struggling through their day, but you see them having, like, getting flustered very easily, being stressed out, and you take something off of their plate, they all of a sudden now feel supported and understood. How that relates to the kink side of things is not having to think about something, not having to delegate, not having to decide, because having to decide what to delegate to your partner and then to delegate it to them requires a ton of mental energy that I think a lot of people don't realize. Women will get it. Other people who are kind of in the submissive realm probably will get it too. If I don't have to try to figure out how to explain this to somebody to do it, then, and they just do it, that is like the sexiest thing in the entire world. You simply know that the thing is going to get done because you trust your partner, that dominant person, to just get it done. So that's how to play with it that's how to play with acts of service in a kinky side. Like take on maybe the dominant role for your partner. Let them know that you will do something for them. It's not, again, it's not about reading your partner's mind. It's not about them telling you what to do. It's about watching how your partner is going through their day and seeing where can I make their life a little bit easier, and then just doing those things. Okay, second one, words of affirmation. Um, Again, like this is super obvious, right? It's for when we're talking about kinks, we're talking about a praise kink, and the praise kinks have been all over social media lately. I feel like social media is getting a lot more kinky these days, but essentially, when we're talking about praise kink in relation to a words of affirmation love language, um, it's going to be very much focusing on giving them feedback on everything, right? So it's being kind, it's being affirmative, it's being encouraging, it's being supportive, all in a verbal way. So when we're talking about what are maybe some examples of that, are we see these a lot in books, right? For any of you guys who are out there who are big readers and big smutty fans, um, we all know the good girl dynamic, right? Or the good girl, not phase. What's the word I'm looking for? Like the good girl. We all know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so using that in a way, and it doesn't. Here's the thing: it doesn't always have to be sexual. It doesn't always have to be during sex. Okay, it can be anytime. In fact, a lot of the times the reason it works the best is because it's not during sex. And this is the cool thing about kink is it doesn't have to be in a sexual space. So thinking about um, how can you verbally appreciate your partner? How can you verbally support them? How can you verbally affirm them and encourage them? Right. So even if they just did the most difficult task or they checked something off of their to-do list, using that, you're such a good girl. You're such a good boy. You know, if you're taking it into the bedroom, it can be, you're so pretty on your knees. That dress looks amazing on you. I can't wait to take it off. You're doing so well. You're doing so well. Said in the right tone with the right inflection, maybe with a little bit of sensual touch, is going to hit that words of affirmation button so hard. So I want to take a little detour here and kind of talk about something that I personally believe is also part of words of affirmation, and that is the opposite of the praise kink, which is the degradation kink. And that obviously degradation is when you get off on, well, let me start that over again. Degradation kink is when you get off on somebody who's using words that are focusing on degradation and humiliation. Obviously, this is with consent. Please, 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 please. Do not delve into degradation kink without discussing this with your partner. It can be very triggering for them. This has to be a discussion beforehand. It has to be. So, what are some examples of that? Again, we see a lot of these examples in books. And I actually think that there is a article this month also on praise praise kink. I'm not sure if there's one on degradation or if she delves into that. I haven't read it yet, but some examples of degradation as words of affirmation would be, "You're my dirty slut. You love being used, don't you? That's my good whore." See, there's the praise and the degradation all in one. Okay. Again, please don't, please don't delve into this without talking about it with your partner first and discuss what's okay, what's not okay, because words like slut may be fine, but the word whore may not be okay. It is, I promise you, worth the discussion ahead of time. Okay, quality time. Quality time is literally all your person wants is your attention. That is all they want. That is it. What is the word I'm looking for? Not undivided. They want your undivided attention. How do you know what that means? And this is difficult because everybody's version of quality time is different, just like everybody's, like words of affirmation can be different. Everybody's quality time is going to be different. So ask your partner what you would like or what they would like to do with you. What do they want to do? Are they always asking you to go to the movies with them? Are they, and I know I said it's not just sitting in movies, but if you never go to the movies with them, then going to the movies with them is going to be a huge piece of quality time. Is it, I want to have dinner together. I want to go dancing. Are they always asking you to help them with a task? Are they asking, what are they always seeking out from you? Maybe it is watching a show together, but it's watching a show without your phone. It is being focused on and present with what is happening in the moment. So it is very difficult sometimes to not to figure out necessarily what is quality time, but to make time for quality time. We get busy. Like sometimes it's difficult to have a meal together, let alone having some wild and crazy, passionate fuck fest. Like it may not be as easy to figure out how to make time for quality time. That may be more difficult than figuring out what the actual quality time is supposed to be. So I know that this sounds like a cop out, but my recommendation is always date nights. Set aside time to spend with your partner. I don't know how much more basic that can be. Now, how you make this kinky is kind of up to you. Start with your foreplay being earlier in the day. Let them know that you can't wait to spend time with them. Let you know that you're excited to spend the evening with them. Make it sexy, make it fun, Quality time does not mean come hang out with me while I do something that I enjoy. Quality time for your partner is about doing something that they enjoy. So maybe it's planning a little sexy rendezvous at a hotel or a bar where you guys can role play, meet the stranger fantasy or something. Maybe it's as simple as after the kids go to bed, light some candles and have a discussion and sit with each other and talk about maybe what our fantasies are, talk about the things that we want to be doing. Maybe play a sexy game together. Mutual masturbation would be super fun to add in here. Again, if these are things that your partner likes, like if your partner is not into that, then you got to find the thing that they're into. Okay. Add in sexy toys. Like even if you're just going out to dinner, get a remote control vibrator that goes in their underwear. That can be kind of like that sexy date night fun, right? Make it fun. Sex is supposed to be fun. Relationships are supposed to be fun. Okay, gifts. This is a difficult one for sometimes people to kind of understand. Um, it's not about the gift, it's about the timing of the gift. So I like to use the example. I had a friend who their spouse love languages was absolutely gifts. But every time a major holiday came around, their birthday, Christmas, whatever came around, they always felt like they did it wrong. No matter what they gave to them, no matter what present they brought, it wasn't their partner was always like disappointed. And after probably a couple of months of having this discussion and kind of like hemming and hawing over and agonizing over what do they give their partner for Christmas, I said, well, why don't you just ask for a list? And they're like, well, that seems too easy. And I'm like, okay. So they did that. They got the list. And as we're talking about it a little bit more, we came to realize that it wasn't about what the gift was. It was about when was the gift given. And so because the expectation was so high for Christmas and holidays and birthdays and things like that, when my partner asked for a specific list and got the very specific thing that their partner wanted, they were ecstatic. Now, what they also started doing, though, was bringing home small gifts throughout the year that they just knew that their partner wanted or needed. Oh, I saw this portable charger for your phone, and I know that you've been wanting to get one of these. So here you go. I picked it up for you. Their partner was through the roof excited about that stupid little charger. And it was like blew their mind as to why their partner was so excited about this $10 charger, but wasn't excited about the $70, you know, robe that they got them for Christmas that they thought that they would like. Because it wasn't about it, it was the expectation was different. So when the expectation is zero, it's easy to go above and beyond. When the expectation is super high, i.e., for a holiday or a birthday or Christmas, it's really hard to match. So it's about bringing something home for your partner, giving your partner something when they least expect it. That's kind of the key to the gift giving. Now, if we're taking it over to the naughty side and we're kinking it up, we're going to obviously bringing in some naughty toys, right? Again, the key here is to make sure that you're paying attention to the timing and reading the room. Because the last thing that we want is for you to get this amazing toy that your partner has been wanting, but give it to them at the wrong time, i.e., they just worked 70 plus hours at the hospital and haven't had a day off in 12 days. And now they think that all you want to do is have sex with them. Isn't necessarily a bad thing, but now it feels like an obligation. So kind of just read the room when especially when it comes to sexual things, when your partner is in a fun and or kind of relaxed mood is when you want to be kind of giving some fun, sexy toys. So whether it's a new sexy toy a sex toy that you guys have been looking at, new lingerie that you think that you want to see them in, some kind of new fun flavored lube or massage oil, even taking them on a trip to the store to let them buy what they want. That can also be fall into this level of gifts. And even something as simple, not as simple probably, but something like taking them on a date night to a sex club or on a date night to something that they really want to do that is a little more sexy, maybe salsa dancing or something like that. Those all kind of fall into that as well. Also, I really apologize if you can hear my dog because he is snoring next to me. And sometimes my mic picks up a lot of things. Okay, so let's see. Okay, physical touch. Physical touch. Again, it feels like you can kind of like understand where this is going. The key to making it kind of kinky is to do it with intention, right? Instead of just giving your partner the typical like peck on the cheek or peck on the lips when you walk out the door, really pull them in and kiss them like you may never kiss them again. Grab their ass while you do it. Run your hand along their cheek. Tangle your fingers in their hair. Leave them breathless, and it goes both ways. So if your partner is like rushing out the door, ladies, do not be afraid to grab his hand, pull him back, and give him the kiss that he's going to be thinking about the rest of the day. So playing around with foreplay to make it last way longer instead of just that 15 minutes that we're thinking about sex before we have sex. Kiss their shoulder while they're cooking dinner. Give them a kiss on the forehead. Guys, forehead kisses are like, that's like a whole love language in and of itself right there. So your partner who loves physical touch, they want to be worshipped. They want everything to be focused on them. They want everyone, not everyone. They want your attention to be solely on them in a way that just feels like, I don't know how to explain it other than worship. They just want to be worshipped. So it's not just about doing this before sex, but also after sex. I was listening to a reel on Instagram the other day that was talking about a porn star, and this guy was saying that he had started watching this guy's videos and started to pick up on the things that he's doing. And this guy was consistently doing 3 things. 1, talking nonstop. Hello, words of affirmation. This man did not stop talking the entire time he was having sex with people. 2, he would alternate between going really intense and aggressive to being very sweet and very soft. Hello. I mean, that's just like a whole sensory overload, right? And then the third thing was aftercare. The man did not just get up after sex and go take a shower or go get a washcloth or anything. He was in there and would continue to touch his partner, continue to nuzzle them, to kiss them, to snuggle with them. And that's like what you want to be happening. But this is how I say, like extend the foreplay before sex, but then extend it also then into the aftercare. And aftercare is typically connected to BDSM scenes, but it's absolutely something that can be implemented after any or all sexual encounters. It's simply taking care of your partner after sex or playtime. So is that all 5 of them? Because that really does not feel like 5, but maybe it is. Okay. So once you kind of get some ideas about this, now you can kind of start to play around with these things and add in, like mix and match, right? So if you know your partner's love languages, like the top 2 are acts of service and words of affirmation, like telling them, babe, hey, I got this. Don't worry. Like, just go sit down, go read your book. Go read your book like a good girl, and I'll take care of the dishes. That's going to hit those buttons super hard. So I gave a lot of examples on in the article. There's some amazing examples about just kind of how to mix and match these things. Just know that this is a great way to start rekindling that connection, to start kind of bringing things back to that maybe a little bit of that honeymoon feeling. And yeah, have fun with it. Like, this is something that it can be so much fun. It can be so much fun. It doesn't have to be intimidating. If you have questions, please let me know. I am always open. My DMs are always open to discussions. And I hope you have an amazingly wonderful kinky day. That did not come out right, but yeah, have an amazing day.
Thank you so much for listening to the Fierce as Fuck podcast. And some parting words for you today. Remember this: no matter how hard society pushes you down, no matter how many times you fall, as long as you get the fuck back up, they can never stop you. You are unfuckable with. You will win. Don't allow this world to dictate how you show up in it. Don't allow society to make you bend the knee. Instead, make them bend theirs. And don't forget, if you like what you heard, go on to iTunes and Spotify and leave your girl a review. Until next time, my beautiful people.